Welcome one and all, I'm Decoy, and today I've got a fairly special episode of Cool and Unique Camp Locations, because this time it is nothing but raider camps. That's right, some spots where you can set up and take advantage of that raider vibe. Now, normally I try to pick a location from each section of the map, but since this is a very specific type of camp that we're going for, I've just picked 6 of them that I've come across. Now, if you're newer to the channel and you don't see a raider camp here that you saw out in the world and you're wondering, hey, why didn't I show that one? It might actually be in one of my other cool and unique camp location videos. But as for this first location, it's probably one of the tamest when it comes to the raider vibe. You're not going to have a bunch of decapitated bodies decorating the place, which may be a plus, may be a minus, depending on how you want your camp to look. Now, there are a few plants here that you can gather, and some other nifty stuff, but this location is somewhat close to White Spring for those of you that feel like it doesn't matter what your camp is, you just need to be close to White Spring. This location will cover you for that. It also features a pretty nice view out there, and you can see White Spring in the distance. Not that bad of a spot. Now, another plus, since it is somewhat close to White Spring, it places you between White Spring and Top of the World. So it's not a really long fast travel between those sets of vendors. Always good. So that's going to wrap up that one. Technically, that's not the forest. I think that's considered the Savage Divide, and I've got quite a few Savage Divide locations in this video. But this one, we're down in the ash heap. This one definitely gives you more of that raider vibe. You got some oh my gosh. I started to say 2 different words at the same time. What? I don't know what was going on. You've got wood. You've got a sleeping bag. And really what screwed me up was I was looking at the wood and trying to say that, but also trying to warn you that robots and stuff can spawn here. And I feel like they will always spawn here, but I can't promise anything. And that is going to be one of the key points with the raider campsites. Odds are something will spawn in them. So if you want the raider look, you're going to have to accept that you're going to have unwelcome visitors. Now, another thing that is nice about this spot is if we run off over here past another dead body, you do get a copper deposit. And if you place your camp right here around these trees, you should be able to have the copper deposit and the raider campsite just within your camp circle. So you can take advantage of both sections. You'll find this right down here under a train station. Again, always nice. Gotta love them train stations. But now we're about to go into quite a few Savage Divide locations. Now the first one, it's not technically a raider spot. I wouldn't consider it to be one. But I do feel like it has a little bit of that raider vibe to it. Because here I'm going to call it Carhenge. You get this awesome throne. And I don't know why, but it does make me kind of get a Mad Max kind of vibe from it. Now, there's not a whole lot to loot here. Mostly you're just showing up here for the fact that it looks cool. And one of the subs I got to play with, he was camping here. And he kind of turned it into where the cars are stacked up. That's actually an entrance into a different house, or a different section in his camp. And I gotta say, it looked really cool. I really did enjoy his camp. So other than that toolbox right there, that's about all you have loot-wise. and you may have to worry about enemies spawning in here. Again, it comes with the territory. But you'll find this one right up here, also keeping you close to one of the more sought-after workshops in the game. And then we'll move on to even more raider spots that probably have enemies in them. So let's head down to a spot where I didn't go ahead and kill the enemies before recording. Mostly because I was too entertained by the super mutant that decided he was going to be on top of this place rather than in it. I like him. He's a cool super mutant. So, throughout the Savage Divide, there are multiple raider roadblocks. Now, this one has been taken over by super mutants, but there is a decent amount to this camp. And you do get a tiny little structure over here. Nice little bit of flat space that you can work with. You will have an ammo box. There's a radio right there. Honestly can't remember if that radio works or not. And you got you a footlocker. Some other random junk all around the place. And if you go over here to the little guard tower, I guess. It's not really a tower, but guard post. You do get the food container. And that lovely super mutant that refuses to participate. Now up here, you do have another food container. Regular old container. God knows what it's going to have in it. And some more stuff to loot. Now, a combat rifle also spawns up here, along with some ammo for it. So if you need 45 ammo, that spawns here. And I burned through 45 ammo. It's pretty sad. But this location, I feel like it's pretty cool. But I don't know how you're going to feel about having super mutants hanging out inside your camp all the time. Maybe it's something you can live with. I don't know. But I will say this much. If you keep seeing my camp location further down, I'll show that one a little bit later. Because it is a raider spot. And it is possibly my favorite. Moving on. This is another well, I don't want to call it a roadblock because it was kind of like a traffic accident. But this place, it kind of borderlines between having the raider vibe and having more of a super mutant vibe to it. But you can come inside the school bus right here. There's board games, baseball glove, that sort of stuff. The things you would expect to find in a school bus. Well, I don't know. I was going to say except for that beer bottle back there, but then again, yeah, I can see it. Now, underneath the bridge when I spawned here, or showed up, there were scorched. So it looks like you will have to deal with enemies spawning under the bridge. But on the plus side, there's also water underneath the bridge that you can take advantage of. And you definitely get your dead bodies. I know it's a partial requirement when it comes to a raider camp. You need those dead bodies. I mean, how else are people going to know you're a raider if you're not stringing people up all over your camp? Now, up on top of the bridge here, when I make it up there, I just figured I'd go ahead and show you the scorch real quick. You get up here. This is where it gives you more of the super mutant vibe, because you have the meat sacks hanging down. You also have like that super mutant cauldron, the hooks, all that sort of thing. But I feel like if you just want kind of a raider look to your camp, this spot should work. It is also close to White Spring, much like the first location. So you'll be a little bit closer to White Spring, but still you'll be between White Spring and Top of the World, so you can easily take advantage of both vendors. Oh, I'm getting kind of anxious. I want to hurry up and get to my campsite. And here we go. This is where I camp at. Now, when I started recording for started going out to record all of this, I came across this spot, and I was so excited about it, I started building here, without putting thought into the fact that, oh crap, I hadn't recorded this spot yet, I don't need my camp to be here. So I had to come here on my second character, just to give you a clean recording of this place. This is one of the few spots in the world where you can find a train that's not derailed. Now, all of this coal right here in the back of the train cars, you can plant crops in there. You can put down one of your water purifiers, and that is extremely cool to be able to do. So, part of the reason that's cool is the smaller creatures like dogs and wild mongrels, that sort of thing, they're not going to be able to damage that stuff because it's going to be up in the train car out of their reach. Now this location does feature a ton of dead bodies. Like, a lot. It's a bit excessive, but I like it. You also get this massive tower that I kind of got distracted talking about other stuff. But that tower is really cool. Now if you head down this way, there's several structures. Of course you had the chem box right there, some medics. Gotta enjoy your makeshift outhouse. Now there's a resource location here as well. So depending on what section of this place you decide to take over, because this is a really big area, you would be able to take advantage of a coal deposit if you wanted. Now I didn't get to test this out with the group that I play with, but I was wondering, say like your group of friends, you're all a bunch of raiders. Since this campsite is so large, some of you, like, you might have one person on one end of the camp, or the location, then someone else at like another end of the location, and maybe you can all be in the area, but spread out just enough that you're really taking advantage of, oh, we're a group of raiders and we have this awesome camp. Now as for enemy spawning, because I do need to cover that, since my camp is here, I can safely tell you what I've seen at my camp. Normally, I will see 2 super mutants spawn in. Occasionally, instead of super mutants, it might be charred ghouls, and I have seen mole rats. And of course, there's a lovely rad roach. Not going to be a threat to your camp. Or I hope not. If the rad roach is a threat to your camp, you might need to rethink things. So, for as awesome as this spot is, the enemies that show up here are not that bad. Or, I guess they're not that bad provided you're not gonna run into troubles killing them. Now the super mutants that spawn here for me are high level super mutants. Of course, charred ghouls are high level ghouls. But they're not a massive threat considering they only spawn 2 of them. And that tower, I can't stress enough about how cool that tower is. In fact, there's also something fairly secret about this campsite that makes it awesome. And next week I will bring you a camp tour where I will reveal what is so awesome about this camp during my tour. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. I'll be back to just regular old cool and unique camp locations next week. And then down the road, I will do straight cult locations. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Please remember to like, sub, and share. Later.